Gentlemen.
Nick.
Eric.
Paul.
I say we just get right into it this week. There's no need for a, fancy intro, anything like that. Let's just get it going right now.
Have we had fancy intros?
We always talk, we have a little quip and a little funny thing that happens. Paul and I talk about how we played baseball together, things like that. If you would listen to our podcast, you would understand what we're talking about, Eric.
Yeah, Eric.
I listened to it live.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're about a week into spring training, and we've already got some injury updates for you all.
Boy, howdy.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. First up, Tyler Glasnow started for Tampa Bay, who only made 2 starts last year because he was rehabbing from Tommy John surgery. Apparently had a left oblique injury, and he's going to be sidelined for 6 to 8 weeks, and he will miss opening day.
Is he a lefty pitcher?
Glasnow is a lefty pitcher, yes.
Oh, he's a right-hander. Sorry.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a right-hander.
Okay. Yes, he's a right-hander. Just like I said, Paul.
Gotcha. Never wrong.
Fortunately, it doesn't seem like something that will make him miss too many starts, but definitely not the way you want to start the season for the Rays or for Tyler himself. The next one is pretty major. Gavin Lux,
Yes.
shortstop for the
Gone.
Dodgers, suffered a torn ACL while running the bases in a game and is expected to miss the entire season. It's always kind of weird to me when, players are, when they're playing basketball or football, baseball, whatever it is, like they always tear their ACL in like the simplest way possible.
Yep.
Like he was just running the bases and he kind of ducked out of the way to get out of the way of a ball and tore his ACL.
Which is something he's done a million times before, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. ACL and LCL injury.
Mm-hmm.
Bummer.
So it's a big blow for the Dodgers. This was expected to kind of be his breakout season, I think, because the past 3 seasons he's been sitting behind Corey Seager and then Trey Turner, who's the most recent. He's just kind of been biding his time for that position.
Yeah.
And to have this happen
So
at
unfortunate.
this moment, you just kind of have to feel for that kid because I think there was a lot of hope for him, throughout the team. I think a lot of the players kind of knew that he was about to have a big year. I think he gained 20 pounds in muscle just to prepare for this season so he could add a little bit more power to his swing. But that's all gone bye-bye. So he'll probably miss at least a season, unfortunately.
I gained 20 pounds for the podcast.
Wow, good job. What was your regimen? What did you do?
Man, I can't share that right now at this particular time, but trust me, a lot of Mariner dogs were involved.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just the hot dog itself. Did you have anything on there, like the cream cheese and that Seattle
Man,
thing?
that is some Seattle shit, but dude, you know this. Yellow mustard, raw, white onion. That's it.
Okay.
That's all you need. Yep.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever had a hot dog with cream cheese, so I wouldn't be able to say.
Did you try one when you were up here?
I don't think so.
Okay. It's not
Do
bad.
they sell it at the ballpark? They sell it with cream cheese and onions, and
I would assume you have that option. You have to have that option.
maybe that's a little
Yes,
thing
Eric.
that we do. We try different styles of hot dogs on the podcast,
Yes.
and we rate them.
Yes.
Yeah,
You know about me
Yes.
and cream cheese, though.
I don't. What
No.
It's
what
the
about?
one thing I will not eat.
Oh, too bad. You're going to try a Mariner dog.
Why is that, Eric? Why is that?
It's just the one food that I can't stand.
Cream cheese?
Cream cheese.
Oh my God, it's delicious.
Ugh.
It's not, I mean, it's okay. It's just one of those things. It's not one way or the other.
I've never heard of anybody not liking cream cheese.
Can't do it.
All right. Does it give you the shits?
I wouldn't know. I haven't had enough.
Oh, there you go. Smart play. Smart play.
Well, we'll ship you some Mariner dogs at least. You got to have those.
Yes. He's not excited.
Fenway Franks.
Ooh.
That's the way to go.
Okay.
All right. Let's talk about Bryce Harper, because I don't know how we missed this in our previous episodes, but Harper had Tommy John surgery in the offseason.
He did. Wait, was
And
it Tommy John?
Yeah, he had Tommy John surgery on his elbow, and I just don't remember that ever happening, or I didn't see anything about it. I'm sure that it was mentioned multiple times, and it's something that I missed or we missed, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But he isn't expected to return until after the All-Star break.
Yeah.
So this might set the Phils back a little bit. I know he's just one player, and obviously it's a team sport, but he's kind of a big part of that team and was a big part of that team toward the end of the season last year.
He's a really good player, yeah.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see how that team fares without him going into this season. But I don't know how we missed that. That's a pretty big one. But we make mistakes here on the podcast.
Occasionally.
We're not perfect. Occasionally. And finally, this one is just ridiculous. Aroldis Chapman, newly acquired relief pitcher for my Kansas City Royals, suffered an injury similar to what you would see in the Three Stooges. Apparently slipped and fell at his home, split his lip, and also cracked a tooth.
It's going around the league.
Yeah, taking one out of Francona's playbook. I mean, I knew the Royals were doomed before the start of the season, but this just kind of seems like a bad omen at this point. Like, I don't think he's going to miss too much time, but, you know, who knows what's going to even happen to him. I know that he's had issues with previous teams prior to coming to the Royals, with like
New York
coming up with reasons why he can't be there, you know, things like that, or having things happen like this. Not a good look going into spring training, that's for sure. And I didn't have high hopes for him anyway. So no harm, no foul.
Trade chip. That's all he was. Trade chip at the
maybe
deadline. So,
and speaking of teeth and Francona, today Francona got his tooth fixed. Or, excuse me, yesterday he got his tooth fixed from last week's pasta mishap. And Francona issued yet another quote.
Oh.
I don't understand why they feel the need when they have both hands down your throat to ask you how the team's going to be.
Classic.
That's awesome. It's totally a thing at the dentist where you get questions at the most inappropriate times. So, yes.
It's true.
Yep.
They're great at that. It's like when waiters ask you how the food is and you've got a mouthful of food.
Just as you take your bite.
Yeah. Cold-blooded.
Any other injuries? I think those were the big ones. There were some other guys that...
Those are the big ones.
Had taken some hits, but nothing major. I think they were only going to miss a little bit of time.
Joe Musgrove.
What happened to Joe?
Dropped a kettleball on his toe.
Oh.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Is it broken?
It is broken.
And how long is he expected to be out?
Just a minimum of a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But it is like his big toe, so that could be...
That hurts.
Yeah.
I dropped a keyboard on my big toe one time at Guitar Center.
Hopefully it was something that you just bought.
I just bought it. Yeah, I was walking out of the store and I tripped on a vacuum cord that they had out.
Oh, did you sue for big money?
No, I should have.
Yeah. At least got a new keyboard out of the deal.
Keyboard was fine. My toe was not. My toe was broken.
I remember this happening in Austin. Yeah.
That's a fair trade-off.
Yeah. It was great.
Good times. Other than that, I think we're good on injuries.
Okay. One of the big things that happened at spring training this week was a game that ended with a pitch clock violation.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a game between the Braves and the Red Sox, and Cal Conley, who was batting for the Braves, was at bat and thought he had just won the game with a bases loaded walk till the umpire called him on a pitch clock violation because he wasn't set in the box within 8 seconds. What do you guys think about this? I have my opinions, but I want to hear yours.
So first of all, the game was bottom of the ninth, tie game, bases loaded, 2 outs, full count, and then it just ends.
Yep.
You know, I mean, if you're going to enforce it, it's got to be enforced during all at bats. But
totally,
it's a horrible way to end a game. I mean, if it's regular season, it's going to go to extra innings. It doesn't go to extra innings because it's spring training. So
wait,
there is that.
Explain that again.
It was the bottom of the ninth. It was tied.
Yeah.
Spring training, there's no extra innings.
Oh,
if it's tied, they just end the game.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's not really the end of the game for the regular season. But it can still be the way a team ends a game.
That's weird.
It's going to be very weird and very unsatisfactory.
Yeah.
it seems like there was a lot of backlash and like outrage on the internet, which, yeah, whatever. That's what the internet is for.
Exactly.
But, like, it seems to me that scenarios like this will work themselves out.
Yeah.
Right? Like right now, hitters are still kind of getting used to that concept of a pitch clock, and this might be the one time I say this, but in this situation, thank goodness for spring training.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Sure.
I think that'll give them plenty of time to work out the kinks and
Get out of bad habits.
yeah, totally. And like there was even something today where I saw a video of Carlos Correa. Like he was at bat. I think it was his first at bat in spring training, and you know he stepped out of the box and he was just kind of taking his time, and then he forgot and looked at the clock and he like ran back into the batter's box. You know, so yeah, exactly. So I think they're going to learn pretty quick, and they're gonna figure that out.
Did you see the video of Joey Votto like last year, where he's standing in the box and the pitcher threw it, and he didn't change his stance. He didn't swing. He didn't change his stance at all. Just stayed in the box.
Yeah,
and it circulated. It's like preparing for the pitch clock already.
Yeah.
Speaking of Joey Votto, oh my God, did you? I think Joey Votto is my new favorite player.
Oh, he's a great person to have in the league. Like,
Totally,
Absolutely.
So
such a personality.
yeah, so MLB's Twitter account posted, "Drop your boldest NL Central prediction," and Joey Votto responded, "Extraterrestrials arrive on Earth April 15th. The 12-2 Reds and the rest of the planet learn from, communicate with, and befriend our alien friends. This process takes 5 months. Play resumes in October. The Reds sweep the playoffs and are World Series champs.
Yes.
Side note, the aliens ask if I would like to accompany them on their ship back to their planet. I oblige, never to be seen again."
Very good.
That's just fantastic.
Very good.
I love Joey Votto.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so good.
We were talking about pitch clock.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be fine. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like there's not the same outrage for a game ending on a walk-off walk, right? Like, and it's not that much different than having a game end on a pitch clock violation, so to speak. I mean, it's a new rule, obviously, but it's the same. Like,
at least the pitch is like it's a pitch. It's the players finishing the game somehow, versus the clock is just like you're just fucking standing there dumbfounded, like, oh.
Yeah,
it's going to be weird because it's going to force a lot of situations that you kind of want to see play out and whatnot. But it's right now it's weird and slightly unnerving. Games are what, 22, 24 minutes faster averaging.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what they want, right? 2.5 hours of baseball.
Yeah, I like it. I like the new pitch clock. I think it's cool having the clock in screen, or maybe slightly out of screen, like
during the game. It's great. At the end of the game is what's going to be weird. That ninth inning and stuff.
I just mean like being able to see the clock as a
for
viewer.
Sure. Yeah.
I think it's great. I don't know. I know there's going to be some people who are like, this is ruining the game of baseball and all that kind of stuff. But
I know
it's got to evolve at some point.
A couple networks are putting it in the bug, the little box on screen.
Oh, nice.
I know Nesson will have it. I think Yes will have it.
Nice.
I think it's going to make it more exciting.
Yeah, there was a game the other day that it's like there was like 17 hits and 17 strikeouts and 12 runs and the game was 2 hours and 25 minutes.
Nice. Yeah, that's fantastic.
So
normally that's a 3 hour and 40-minute game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So there was a mystery solved in Colorado this past week. Apparently in 2020, there were several teams that complained about missing items after having a visiting series against the Colorado Rockies. The Giants were the first to report this, and they claimed that jerseys belonging to Johnny Cueto and Pablo Sandoval were missing. Kind of weird. And then the Padres noticed that two of Fernando Tatis's jerseys were missing, as well as a pair of his batting gloves. So lo and behold, some of this stuff started to go on sale on eBay.
Oh,
yeah, shocking, right?
Smart move.
Yeah, exactly.
And the seller said that the items were acquired when those teams were in Colorado for the games, which just immediately smells like bullshit. So they started looking into
Acquired.
this. Yeah, acquired. They started looking into this to see if maybe there was an employee that was taking this stuff and selling it. They ruled that out and eventually figured out that an employee at Denver International Airport was the one taking these items. It sounds like he dealt specifically with like private plane loading and unloading. So this is why he had access to that area. And he went so far as to wear clothing that was baggy enough. Like he would wear tights and then he would wear baggy clothes so he could stuff all of these things in his pants and his shirt. And like all I saw, they didn't say exactly what the other items were. I assume there were more items than just jerseys and batting gloves. Like who knows what else he was trying to sell? Like maybe underwear, jock straps, you know, which could be a thing. Maybe people bought that. But I'm no criminal genius. You guys know this. But if I'm going to steal a bunch of stuff, I'm not going to directly, turn around and try and sell it on eBay.
What year did you say this started? 2020?
2020, yeah.
2020, okay. That's amazing. And they originally thought it was like somebody from the Rockies?
Well, yeah, they thought it was like an employee,
stadium attendant
at the stadium, because there was multiple teams that this happened to. Apparently, it happened to the Giants, the Dodgers, the Padres, and the A's. That they stole all this shit from. I don't know, man. It's pretty stupid if you ask me.
Yes,
but got away with it for a while.
Yeah,
that's true.
For a few years.
Yeah.
Because
quit while you're ahead, folks.
Yeah, they kept asking people like where they got this stuff, and they were like, "Well, I got it from somebody on eBay, and who knows how much money he made off of it." I'm sure he had to pay that back. I think he only got probation for doing this. So, yeah, maybe it was worth it.
Sounds like it might have been
for the thrill of it.
Mm-hmm. Time to get a job at the airport.
Quick update for our listeners. Last week we had talked about Manny Machado.
Yes.
Wanting to opt out of his contract at the end of this year. Mm-hmm. And about 10 minutes before I posted the last episode, it was revealed that he actually signed a new contract with the Padres.
Boy, howdy.
It's so ridiculous.
Howdy. It's an 11-year deal worth $350 million.
So what did his annual value go to? From 30, it went to 31 and a half.
Well, the Padres are going to pay him $49 million over the next 3 years, which includes a $13 million base salary each year and a $10 million payment
on December 5th or something.
$45 million signing bonus.
Yeah.
And then he will make $21 million in 2026.
Yeah.
And then $35 million a year for the remaining 7 years of the deal.
It's crazy.
So he's going to be 42 when his deal is up. 41, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
They're going to regret.
I wonder if he has like an opt-out after 5 years again or something like that. Or if the Padres are like, dude, you got to just spend the rest of your career with us after this one kind of thing. Or have you heard anything about that?
Machado, whose contract includes a no-trade clause and does not give him the ability to opt out.
Ah.
Yeah. So he's going to make, eventually, over that course of his contract, he will make $453 million from the Padres.
It's going to be the new Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah, not slightly as outlandish as the Bonilla contract, which we need to have a special episode for Bobby Bonilla Day to celebrate.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
But just a little update for you all, in case you were wondering. I know you all were. Okay, guys, I've got quite a story for you. Are you ready for story time?
Absolutely.
One of the things that I love about baseball is the plethora of interesting and also outlandish stories that have taken place over the course of sports history. And this week, we're going to talk about the Pittsburgh Drug Trials. Have you guys heard this story?
I have not.
Nope.
Okay, great. I hadn't either going into this. And I'm surprised that I hadn't heard about it because it's kind of a crazy story and it involves a lot of big name players at the time. And it was quite the scandal at this time. So the story begins to take shape around 1979. The Pittsburgh Pirates had won the World Series that year. I know it's crazy to think that the Pirates were once a good team, but they were. And the city of Pittsburgh is super jazzed about it. As you guys know, and you guys know because you were probably adults around this time, the late 70s and early 80s, it was the sweet spot for cocaine usage, especially among the more affluent communities, which is why cocaine became a major hit among Major League Baseball players. But we haven't got that far yet, so let's talk about why the Pirates played such a huge role in this. So once cocaine started to widely circulate through Pittsburgh in the early 80s, there was a pitcher by the name of Rod Scurry, who had been in the Pirates system since 1974, but didn't get called up until 1980. And Rod had a well-known cocaine habit. His cocaine habit was so big that it estimated he had a $150,000 a year cocaine habit, which already it sounds like a lot, but I looked it up to see what it would be in 2023 dollars, and it's around $453,000.
Good God.
Just on fucking cocaine. So people close to him said that he could snort about $1,500 of coke on any given night, and could do like $300 to $400 worth in 5 minutes. Like if he's out at the club or whatever, you know, he had friends there that would supply him with the cocaine, and then he would just snort it all.
So what you're saying is people would hand this man an 8-ball of cocaine, and he would take care of it in 5 minutes.
Yes,
and still be a professional baseball player.
Yes, and he'd have a great time.
Sure he did.
Is he still alive?
He's no, he's not.
Okay. Sorry.
Hey, Nick,
Spoiler
what did he
alert.
die of?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Sorry.
Spoiler alert, everybody.
I'm going to guess heart attack.
Yes, that is correct. So at the time, Scurry's habit was so well known that the Justice Department got wind of it. And they were possibly getting wind of a more widespread problem in Major League Baseball as well. So initially, it was just Scurry that they kind of knew about. But that all changed in 1984, one night in San Diego. So sometime during the season that year in 1984, Scurry was sent to the minors because he gave up 2 walks in a row on 8 pitches. Now, I don't know if that was the only reason, because that seems to be a little petty, but I'm just going off of what I read. So maybe it is true, and the manager was just a prick. I don't know. So one sweet summer night in San Diego, the manager of the hotel that Scurry is staying at gets a complaint from someone that there are loud noises coming from his hotel room. So he goes to investigate, and it turns out that Scurry was tearing apart his television because he was convinced that snakes were living inside of it and trying to get to him.
Normal.
That's not cocaine. That's crack.
Yeah, see, I don't know anything about cocaine, but it seems like you would have to do a lot of it to reach that level of hallucination, or maybe he was testing.
I think we've
something
already
out.
established that he was doing a lot of it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That doesn't sound like the cocaine I've heard of, where you're imagining snakes inside the TV coming after you.
Agreed.
Well, this incident didn't go quietly into that sweet summer night, because a few days later, Rod gets a visit from the old FBI. And this is kind of where all hell breaks loose, because he gave the FBI a list of drug dealers, as well as a list of current professional players to whom those dealers were selling to.
No.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
And one of those dealers was none other than the Pirate Parrot, the fucking mascot for the team.
Yes.
Yeah. This guy would straight up sell to the players in the locker room before and after game.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
I love it.
It's great. So this incident snowballed. No pun intended there, I guess. Or maybe. After interviewing Scurry and going off of the names that he gave them, the FBI interviewed those people, and each time the players would identify other players that were involved in this. And it wasn't just the Pirates. it was like 5 other teams that were having this issue as well. Some notable names that came up in this investigation.
Uh-oh.
Vida Blue. Keith Hernandez. Yes, that Keith Hernandez. Tim Raines. And Lonnie Smith. And this is just the tip of the iceberg here. There's more. So apparently Keith Hernandez said that about 40% of current players were using cocaine. He later backtracked on that statement, but I feel like 40% is pretty specific.
Probably pretty legit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Raines admitted to keeping a gram of cocaine in his uniform pocket during games, so he could snort it during the game.
Wow.
And would only slide into bases head first so he wouldn't break the vial of cocaine that he kept in his back pocket.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Tim Raines, what's up?
Yeah. Another player that was caught in the scandal, who I didn't mention yet, John Milner. He was an ex-Pirate. He talked about getting amphetamines from Willie Mays and Willie Stargell. So this whole situation was really bringing some skeletons out of the closet. Now, I didn't say cocaine from Willie Mays. It was amphetamines, but, still drugs.
Yep.
So 1985 rolls around, and this is where the trial begins. So they have all the major players in this. Justice Department decides they're going to take it to trial in Pittsburgh, where it all started. And this was a big deal back then. There was a lot of media coverage, a lot of eyes on the baseball world. I think ESPN was just kind of coming into their role, and they were there. At that time, it was Justice Department policy to only pursue convictions for dealers and not the users. So all of these players that were implicated in this investigation were given immunity for their testimony. Basically, if they got up on the stand and confirmed that the guys on trial were dealers, then the players would only get a slap on the wrist. And that's exactly what happened. So they get to go away scot-free. The dealers basically get fucked. And in total, there were 7 dealers that were convicted. A large number of them ended up receiving like 12-year sentences in this process.
I was hoping you'd say a large number of them were mascots.
That would have been that would have been a whole other story.
Drug ring of mascots.
So, like the most notable dealers in this situation were Curtis Strong, who was he was a caterer for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Naturally, food
Naturally,
guy, of
right?
course.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Perfect opportunity.
Yep.
Dale Schiffman, who was a freelance photographer, and then Kevin Cook, who was the man behind the Pirate Parrot suit there in Pittsburgh. Interestingly, Dale and Kevin were both friends with Dale Berra, who is the son of baseball legend Yogi Berra.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Dale was also one of the players implicated in this investigation. So after the players gave their testimony, the commissioner at the time, Peter Uberoth, decided that 11 of those players would receive suspensions. And this is kind of where it gets ridiculous.
I thought they all had immunity.
Well, so
Not from baseball.
Not from baseball.
Oh, okay.
So this is the commissioner of the MLB. The suspensions were commuted in exchange for fines and community service. The crazy part about those suspensions is that 7 of them were suspended for a full season, right? But they were able to keep playing on the condition that they donated 10% of their salaries to drug abuse programs and also submitted to random drug testing and did 100 hours of community service. So they didn't miss any playing time. The other 4 players in that situation were suspended for 60 days, were still allowed to play, but they had to donate 5% of their salary and do 50 hours of community service. So basically nothing, right? They got to do a bunch of cocaine, have a bunch of fun, and then get away with it. 10 additional players were named in this process, but did not receive any punishment besides being subject to random drug testing. And there's some notable players on this list as well. Gary Matthews, which I think he was a former Mariner, Paul. Rod Scurry, our boy Rod, who started this whole thing. And there's one name that I haven't mentioned yet, and I was surprised to see him on this list.
Darryl Strawberry.
Not Darryl Strawberry.
Come on, but
he was a little bit later.
It was later.
Okay.
Yeah.
But still lots of cocaine in that guy's life.
Lots of cocaine, yeah.
Mr. Dusty Baker.
Whoa, interesting.
Yeah. But like I said, he didn't receive any punishment, but he was just supposed to have random drug testing.
Just ratted out people.
Yeah, exactly. So the aftermath of this whole shit show is kind of interesting because in 1987, the commissioner, still Peter Ueberroth, he famously said that baseball was now a drug-free sport. He must have been high. Yeah. He had to have been high.
Yeah.
Because there were no indications that it was a drug-free sport. Especially after all those players implicated basically walked away free from like any sort of disciplinary action other than some fines and community service. Like it's not gonna stop any of those guys.
Time to celebrate.
Yeah. In fact, so one of the guys, Lonnie Smith, he went on to say in an interview that in 1987 that under his agreement, he was supposed to be tested for drugs 6 to 8 times per season, but had yet to be tested. And this was a year and a half after the trials. So obviously they weren't following up on any of that shit.
Yeah. It's all PR.
Yep.
Totally. A lot of these players went on to have great careers too. Like, you know, Keith Hernandez, Lonnie Smith, Tim Raines, Dusty Baker. Dusty Baker's still in the league,
got a little
man.
pep in their step.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, it was just kind of all a precursor to the steroid era in baseball. And they share a lot of similarities, especially with the way the trials went. And I think the steroid use is talked about far more than this story.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, the steroid use was a whole different situation and how it affected baseball versus, you know, those guys just being alert and playing baseball. We're just playing baseball, guys. What's up? You know, it's like.
Yeah, totally. There was some funny things that I think Keith Hernandez said, like he would just wake up in like a cold sweat and he lost 10 pounds in one day or something like that, just from doing cocaine. Not everything went well. Rod Scurry did end up dying of a heart attack, a cocaine-induced heart attack a few years later. So, you know, definitely some bad things came out of this. One player I forgot to mention in all of this, and he was a pitcher on that 1979 World Series team for the Pirates, was Doc Ellis, who is famous for throwing that no-hitter while high on LSD.
Yeah.
Which, that's a whole other story for a different podcast, but it seems like drugs played a pretty integral part in winning games back in the 70s and 80s.
Nick, I think drugs played an integral part in everything in the 1970s.
That's true. You guys would know more than I would.
We would. You know, we were doing drugs at 6 years old. 5 years old.
I wasn't saying that. I was just saying you were you were alive longer than I was in that period of time. So
we were doing the candy cigarettes, I think.
Candy cigarettes. Yeah. So that was the Pittsburgh Drug Trials, and I had no idea that happened.
That is
crazy.
That is awesome. What a wonderful, wonderful story of baseball. I love it.
Yeah. And if you want to learn a little more about this, ESPN has a good 30 for 30 on the trials. There's some good footage from back in the day. It's only like 20 minutes or whatever. But it's a pretty cool story. I hope we can do more of these because there's a lot of fun stories that happen in baseball.
I like it.
Indeed.
Yes. Fun stories are good.
I don't have anything else. That's all I got.
Is that it? Hey, quick hits. Quick hits, Nick.
I don't have any quick hits.
What? Don't want to talk about JBJ. White Sox signed Elvis Andrews. We knew that already.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple things that happened. Royals signing JBJ. No big deal. It's not going to do anything.
The Athletics and Reds today played a spring training game, 14-14, completely untelevised.
Oh, my God.
Why was it completely
Total of 29 hits.
Did you see the game yesterday, the spring training game, where the game technically was ended in the top of the ninth inning?
Yeah,
they just decided to play.
Left.
Yeah. Well, it was like the home team
the end of the game.
Already won the game in the top of the ninth inning, but the managers were like,
let's keep playing.
Yeah, let's I want to get this guy to get a couple more pitches out there, warm up a little bit. And the other manager's like, let's do it. But the umps are like, nope, we ain't getting paid for this shit.
Wait, so why was that game not televised that you were talking about, Eric?
Oh, sorry.
Because it's a spring training game between the Reds and the Athletics.
But that usually doesn't matter, right? Like most of those, like all of the games are televised through some network, aren't they?
I don't know.
Oh, maybe not.
I don't even think like all the Red Sox spring training games are televised in Boston.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't think so.
suck it, Red Sox.
Yeah, suck it. Undefeated in spring training.
Ooh.
That means absolutely nothing.
MLB announced this morning that they've hired 3 more staffers, 2 from Bally, 1 from AT&T Pittsburgh, to oversee various aspects of local broadcasts. They're staffing up to seize and run the programming.
Yeah, dude, that Bally's going under.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's gonna happen.
It's gone.
It's pretty much a done deal now, isn't it? Almost.
Like, I mean, this is kind of like the icing on the cake right here. If MLB's doing that to prepare themselves to take over, like it's about to happen.
Yep.
I wonder how that's going to work, though.
Yeah.
In terms of like television?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bally's owns the channels.
sure. So, I mean, is MLB's just going to use those networks throughout the country and broadcast it using their own signal?
Like rebrand it, or
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about.
Or do they just shut it down and just make it all digital streaming, part of MLB TV?
That would suck for all those people because they would that would force them to get a subscription, but they wouldn't even be able to watch it because there's fucking blackouts. Like all those people.
But if MLB owns the channel, there's no blackouts.
well, yeah, there wouldn't be blackouts.
There's no media deal.
There would be blackouts for those like
that's true.
13 teams, but there's still the rest of the teams are screwed. So that
they can broadcast every game they want on those channels because they own them. There's no contract.
Interesting.
MLB having a contract with MLB.
Well, didn't that Dan Snyder, the owner of the Washington Commanders, had the Commanders pay him $4.5 million to put the new logo on his private jet? That sounds like MLB having a contract with MLB.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Make sure to catch us next week because we've got another movie review coming your way. This time, it won't be a bad movie, I don't think. We're going to be watching Bull Durham. Eric has never seen Bull Durham. I don't know how that's possible,
Weird.
Agreed.
but you're going to love it. I already love that movie.
Yep.
Actually, I haven't seen that movie in 10 years, so maybe I don't love that movie anymore. But we're going to find out. If you haven't done so already, make sure you click that follow button on whatever platform you listen to us on. That way you'll never miss an episode.
Never.
See you next week.
Bye.
I like
So
it.
dorky.
Acting. There we go.
So dorky.
I love it.